Raquel's ECOMP adventure. Once upon a not-so-long-ago time, Raquel embarked on a quest. The quest was called ECOMP 355, and it called her to build her personal learning network by expanding her e-portfolio, connecting with educators through Twitter, and contributing to the learning of others on the same quest. Raquel looked out across the water and wondered if she could do it. Luckily, Raquel had some guidance. Her professors, Alec and Katya, taught her the ways of the digital world. First, they taught her how to write a quality blog post. She learned that blog posts should be written in a conversational style about topics people can relate to. She learned to use lists and bullet points in her posts, to think of clickbait titles, and to embed pictures and videos. These tips helped Raquel cross the Erie River of never getting comments on blog posts, a river she had never crossed before. Next, Raquel completed a cyber sleuthing activity where she creeped on Alan Levine to evaluate his digital identity without him ever knowing she was there. This led her to write a blog post about her own digital identity. She wrote about performativity, how sometimes you have to pretend to be something over and over again until it becomes part of you. She also wrote about the importance of speaking out about difficult topics online. Raquel was transfixed by the bright light of someone speaking out online. The ghostly educators, her PLN, remind her she is not alone on her journey. Students from ECOMP 455 taught Raquel about a variety of teaching tools. They had a critical debate about Class Dojo, a points-based classroom management tool, discussing intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation and how to respect the dignity of all students. Raquel's fellow e-compers also taught her about awesome tech tools like Padlet, S'more, Mathletics, Storybird, and more. She used some of these tools to document her chess learning project. Quest leader Katya gave Raquel constructive feedback to help her improve her blog. This led Raquel to buy her own domain and to make her site more visually appealing. She created and embedded an About Me page and also learned to add photos with CompBite in order to give proper credit for images. One night, Alec and Katya sent this little email minion to tell everyone that class was cancelled so ECOMP could go to a lecture by the Honorable Justice Murray Sinclair. "Hooray!" Raquel exclaimed, jumping for joy. Where do I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here? Who am I? These questions echoed in Raquel's head after the lecture. Children who went to residential schools don't know the answers because their only hope lie in giving up their Aboriginal identity. Justice Murray Sinclair said to pick a call to action and commit to it, not for yourself, but for future generations. Raquel was reminded, yet again, that working towards reconciliation is life's work. Raquel worked with her friend Megan to write a blog post about the lecture. They wondered, how do we move from talk to action? They decided their next steps would be to listen to their Indigenous colleagues, to speak hard truths, to build relationships, and to take responsibility by committing to a call to action. They chose call to action number 62, to teach about residential schools, treaties, and Aboriginal peoples' historical and contemporary contributions to Canada, and to learn to integrate Indigenous knowledge and teaching methods into their classrooms. The next part of the ECOMP quest was social activism in online spaces. What makes a good social media campaign? How would you plan a social media campaign? Raquel had to figure it out after being challenged to come up with a campaign plan in 20 minutes. After thinking about this, she wrote a blog post called "Why the Activism versus Slacktivism Debate is Irrelevant," reflecting that both online and offline activism can be equally problematic and oppressive. She shared her belief that we should be critical of all types of activism campaigns. Suddenly, Raquel had an idea. She could start a social media campaign to call for the commemoration of the Regina Indian Industrial School Cemetery. She reached out to her ECOMP questmates, her UR Stars friends, and her trusted professors. She shared the idea on the Google Plus community and gained support. Raquel and Megan worked together to launch the campaign, and then everyone started sharing like crazy. Social media cast a spell on this idea. It billowed from our phones. The hashtag #RiseUp soon trended, and within an hour, CBC contacted Raquel and Megan for an interview. Raquel was struck by the power of social media. Raquel was nervous about being on the radio and uncomfortable with how quickly she had been recognized when a team had already been working on this for 3 years. However, she took the opportunity to share the cause and focused on highlighting the work that had already been done. She continued, wondering what her journey would bring next. After this, Raquel learned about catfishing, or using a false digital identity to engage in online relationships. Some catfishers use these scams to defraud others by entering into fake online relationships and then asking victims for money. Raquel found out that catfish dragon monsters see that Alec is a nice-looking dog, so they steal his name and photos to use for their scams. After Alec was continually harassed by a strange catfishing victim, Katya did some digging and blogged her findings. Raquel learned that we need to speak out about online harassment and educate others about digital citizenship and digital literacy. Next, Raquel learned about digital identity. They discussed how anything on the internet can be copied, shared, editable, and viewable by millions. She learned that what used to be private is now public by default. Speed and ubiquity make it difficult to control our digital footprint. What seems small and insignificant can get huge online in no time, Raquel thought. Raquel agreed that we should teach young people to ask, "What should you do before you share something? How would you feel if this was shared about you?" She also learned about digital dualism, the idea that our two different worlds are intertwined. We can't choose to leave the internet outside the classroom anymore, she thought. The next monster Raquel found herself faced with was called cybersexual violence. She went to the Unslept Project film screening and watched the Fifth Estate's documentary, The Sextortion of Amanda Todd. She wrote a blog post called "Fighting Slut-Shaming and Cyberbullying: 7 Things Teachers Can Do" to share her thoughts. The 7 things were: speak out, help students deconstruct media messages, educate students about their worth, educate students about digital identity and citizenship, educate parents, stay updated on apps and tools students are using, and educate everyone about moving towards a more forgiving digital world. After writing it, she read an article titled "Amanda Todd and Why We Need to Quit Calling It Cyberbullying," which explained how calling it bullying conveniently erases the politics of sexism and racism and absolves adults of their responsibility in producing the conditions in which cybersexual violence proliferates. She realized the importance of recognizing Amanda's experience as cybersexual violence rather than cyberbullying, as this allows us to examine the power dynamics at play. She was very proud of this post and happy that it was widely shared. After writing that post, Raquel met a troll. His name was Philip Rose. He lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce on any mention of Amanda Todd. He spewed misinformation and began to harass Raquel and others on the ECOMP journey. The troll was obsessed. He destroyed any credibility he might have had with his degrading comments and blame the victim attitude. Raquel wasn't sure how to feel about the troll's comments. First, she was proud of herself for getting under his skin. Then she felt hurt and sad. When he attacked Katya for speaking out, Raquel became frustrated and angry, but felt helpless. Alec and Katya bravely and consistently spoke out against the gendered harassment. They reported the troll to WordPress and local authorities. They showed The Journeyer's Troll by Shane Koizen, which helped Raquel work through her feelings. She finally decided he wasn't worth her emotions. She moved on, refusing to feed the troll. Next, Raquel opened the door to the mysterious House of Code. Although she had heard of it, she had never before dared to step foot inside. When she stepped inside, she found a new and exciting world in front of her. She promised herself that she would learn more about coding after the ECOMP journey was complete. My students would love coding. I need to learn more, Raquel thought. Then she reminded herself that she needn't be an expert in coding before bringing it into her classroom. She realized that she could learn to code alongside her students. Raquel could not have made it through the ECOMP quest without the support of others on the journey. Her classmates encouraged her on her learning project, made her feel like her blog posts were worthwhile, and challenged her views in constructive ways. She learned from her classmates' blog posts and from interactions with them on Twitter. Raquel's chess learning project loomed over her all semester. She found chess games extremely frustrating and struggled to document her progress consistently. Despite these challenges, she was proud of the way she shared her learning project online. Raquel completed her ECOMP adventure and was very proud of all her accomplishments. However, she knew her journey was not over. Armed with her learning, she would continue on the path of becoming a connected educator.